Hello, my name is Andrew, and today in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to make API calls from an Alexa skill and Google action. And this is going to be very interesting because what we're going to build is something based on Trello. So we're going to use the Trello API and then we can drive our cars from one column to another using nothing but our voice. And and the way it's going to work is as follows. So let me just start the Alexa right here. Alexa, open Task Manager.
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube.
Create a new task called Walk the Dog Tonight.
Creating a new task. Walk the dog tonight. Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube. Walk the dog tonight.
Move the last task from to do into doing.
Moving walk the dog tonight to doing.
Delete the last task from done.
Delete a get user's Amazon email address tutorial from done.
So as you can see, the way it works, I just drive my whole Trello board with my voice, and that's what we're going to essentially build today using BotTalk. This is the tool that you can freely use if you go to bottalk.de. You can register and you can start following this tutorial with me, and by the end of the tutorial you're gonna have this cool Alexa application that drives your board. So let's get started. So before we dive in, you have to know that on the docs we published this whole tutorial as an article, so you can follow along if you like, for example, reading text, or if you missed something during this video, you can just go ahead and look at that. And that's what I'm going to do in this tutorial. I'm just going to take a peek now and then into this text version to kind of follow along. So first of all, we need to do is we need to request a Trello API key and token, and the way we do that is we go to this link that we have in our documentation, and you just acknowledge that and show your API key. So this is the thing that you're going to copy, and you're going to need that in the second step where you can generate a token. So you have to copy that link all the way to just copy that and paste it, and instead of your API key you need to copy your key you just generated and paste it right here there, and boom, you're gonna have that window showing up. You're gonna say okay, allow, and after that this is the token that Trello kind of generated for you. So what you need to do is you need to save both of them. So I'm just gonna keep those tabs open. So because you're gonna need both the API key and the token in order to make requests. So once you've done that, you can move on with the tutorial. And before we dive into writing the actual code in BotTalk, what you need to do is you need to understand how Trello API just works, right? So, and the way it's done is you have to understand that every Trello board has kind of a JSON structure behind it. And to get this JSON structure, you just copy that link, you paste it, and you put the JSON behind that. And boom, you've got, if you have a Firefox as me, you've got a nicely formatted JSON where basically everything in your Trello board is documented as this JSON object, and it's pretty handy. And we're going to keep that open as well, because we need a couple of IDs in order to do that. For example, if you can see, our Trello board has if you look at that, every card has this short kind of URL, but in reality this has every card has a different ID, and to get this ID we just copy, for example, the name and then search for it, and we have a short link. But what is more important for API calls is the ID that we have right here. Okay, now we're done with that. Let me show you how you can experiment with Trello API. Trello API has this documentation that we linked, and it's very cool because you can actually not only read the documentation but straight away play with that. What do I mean by that is, for example, if we need a board, like a request the whole board, you just go to this and you can try it out. So if you see in the JSON, we need the ID of this board. So once again, we take the URL of this Trello, and then we put .json behind it, and that's how we get the whole JSON. So the ID of the board, we copy that, and we can paste it in this field, and we can try it out right in the documentation. And for trying it out, we need those two pieces of information. We need the API key that we can just go ahead and paste it here, and we need a token that we just generated. So we can also copy and paste it right here, and that's it. And now we can try it out, and it is making the request, and boom, it has made a request. You've got the whole data, just right there. Oops, I just kind of switched. Sorry. So this is the answer that the Trello API gives you, and you can do it with every with every endpoint in Trello. Just fill the query parameters right here, fill your authentication, and boom, you can just experiment with the API right there. And it's very helpful during this tutorial. So first of all, as you can remember, the first thing that we want to do in our Alexa skill or Google Action, doesn't matter, is we want to list the cards that are in to-do list in a kind of method that Alexa will say, here's what you need to do today, and then the list will follow. And to do that, we need kind of everything in the to-do column. And in the Trello API, it's called not the column but the list. So you need everything, every card in this list. And to get that, we're gonna use this endpoint lists and then ID and cards. So if you go here, you have a lists, ID, and then you have cards. So this is the endpoint that we're going to use. And for that, what we need is the ID of the list, so ID of the to-do item. Once again, we head over to our JSON, we search for to-do, and we understand, okay, this is a list, and the ID of the list is as follows. We copy that, we paste it right here, and we can make a request. Because we already authorized it once, it will remember it. So fair enough, we have 3 cards here with everything here, with all the information. First card is record a video tutorial, second card is publish a link on social media, and the third one is upload to YouTube. So this is all the 3 cards in the JSON format, right? So pretty neat. So we know what we have to request, and to do that, we need to do that in BotTalk. We need to jump to the next section. So you go to BotTalk, you log in. I'm already logged in here, and you create a new scenario, and you call it, for example, Task Manager. And in this Task Manager, you're going to choose the language. It's going to be English for now. Then it's going to be an empty skill. And with all that done, you click on Finish Creation, and you launch it in your editor. And that's how the kind of empty script is looking like. And don't be afraid. I'm going to kind of walk you through the whole process right here. So yeah, so that's where we're going to kind of start off. So first thing that you need to understand is BotTalk consists of steps, and you can read about BotTalk in our documentation more, and there are tutorials about that. So first thing in the first step, in the initial step that we say is, here is what you need to do today, right? Yeah, and it's basically what the first thing that Alexa is saying. And then after that, we need to make an actual API call. And the way we do that is we use the action called HTTP GET. You can read all about it if you click on the link. This is the part of our HTTP plugin and has everything inside of it. The GET, the post, the put, patch and delete, everything. We're going to go through that in this tutorial. And yeah, and so you basically can just use the HTTP GET as an action. So first you send the text, so you say something, and then you're gonna go and say HTTP GET. And the first parameter, if you read the documentation, is going to be the URL, right? So we're going to put an URL, and this is the URL that you get from the documentation. So if you go ahead, this was the lists, ID and cards, right? So this is the actual get endpoint that you're going to call. Yeah, so basically what you need to do is you need to say, okay, this is going to be the API, and instead of the ID, you're going to have the ID of the list that we also copied from the Trello JSON, and that we also used here to request it. Remember, you can either copy it from the JSON or right here, and then you're going to paste it instead of ID. Then you're going to need two pieces of information: your key and your token. So your key is going to be the API key, as here. Okay, let's put it right here. And your token is going to be the token that was generated. Once again, copy and paste it, and this is going to be your token. Perfect. So this is the kind of thing that we do. We request this API, and after requesting this API, all our response is going to be in the variable called HTTP response, right? So you're gonna have so you're gonna go here and say everything is going to be stored as a variable is in HTTP response. And for example, here we can and because we know what format is going to HTTP response is going to use. So because we know, okay, we already experimented with that on the Trello documentation. So it's going to be 3 keys, and each key is going to have the card in it. We're going to we can use the tweak for tag. So this is the tag that allows us to kind of go through an array as a loop. So you can use that tag like that, right? And you can say every card name in our BotTalk. So let's copy that, and we're going to send text, and then we're going to use this tag. I think it's end4 as the end of it, right? Let me check it out. Yeah, this is end4. And instead of users, it might be a good idea to name it cards. And the array that is going to come in is, as I said before, is the response, is the variable called HTTP response. This is the variable where the response to this request is going to be stored. So for card in HTTP response, in this one, we're going to say, let me check how it's formatted. Is it a name? Yeah, it's a name. So you go through every card, and in every card we need a parameter name. So we need a key name in order to for Alexa to say it out loud. Card name, and here's what you need to do today, and then the card name is going to be set, and then we're gonna put the full stop after that. Okay, let's save it, and let's go over to tests, and let's just try it out if it works.
Open Task Manager.
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media.
Okay.
Upload to YouTube.
Amazon Help
Okay.
Intent.
Here is the help text.
Great.
Here is
Perfect.
what you need to do today.
So as you've seen, it did go through and read everything from our Trello board, and it did use the for loop to kind of go through each item and took the name of it and read it. So the first thing that we wanted to do to kind of read the tasks, it was done. Perfect. So this is already a first great step, and you can pat yourself on your back. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to create the new task in the to-do list, and with our voice. And to do that, first of all, you might want to create an intent. So as you remember, I just said something, create a new task called, and then something. So this is going to be a create new task intent, and when the user says that, then the create task step is going to be executed. So the step is going to be called create task with a couple of actions. Let's do the first, send text, ready to create a new task. And the way it works that you need to create the create new task intents in the intent section. So go ahead to intent section and just let us look up how we did it. So create task, and there are a couple of utterances that we mentioned in our tutorial. We're just going to copy and paste it right here. So there are two possible ways that the user can say that he wants to create a new task. Create a new task called, or create and then new task as a new task, right? And where is this coming from? Where is this curly braces new task is coming from? Well, it's coming from the slots. We need to create a slot called new task name, and this is going to be a slot with the type, with the built-in type Amazon search query, right? And this is basically saying, okay, anything that the user says here will be just verbatim copied to Alexa, right? So when a person says create a new task called, and then whatever he says, couple of words, whatever, one word, it's just Amazon Alexa is going to take it and just going to save it in the new task name variable. And the way it works is because we have this new task variable right here, new task name variable, you can use it. So in our create task, you can debug it and say, okay, ready to create a new task, and then we can say, okay, let me debug it and let Alexa just say out loud what I was expecting right here. So it is going to be a new task that I set right here. Let's save it, and now it's time to deploy it, because now we're going to work with Alexa simulator. And so you're gonna head over to deploy, and what you want to do is you're gonna hit this deploy button. If you never deployed anything from BotTalk, is going to be another button called connect to Amazon account, and then you go through the connection between BotTalk and Amazon, and then you're gonna have the same button. So yeah, let's just deploy it and head over to the Amazon Alexa simulator to test it out. So click on the deploy and just wait for a couple of seconds while BotTalk is creating the whole model and stuff like that. While we're waiting, we can go to developer Amazon and sign in with our account. And right there you're gonna have a couple of skills that we built. If you didn't build anything, you're gonna only have one, our task manager. And let's go to BotTalk and just wait till it's done. When it's done, it's going to actually show us the build done right here message in our Alexa developer console as well. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and yeah, so basically we're just going to go inside of that, and the way it's going to work is that we're going to go to the test tab, and that's what we're going to need. Still building to test our task manager Alexa skill inside of our browser, basically, without needing to communicate with the device. Still building, still waiting. Yeah, perfect. As you can see, build is successful, and that's what our BotTalk is also saying to us. So in order to build it, you just can type open task manager, and
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube.
perfect. And now what we are going to test, as you can remember, we just written the intent that was create a new task, and to test it I need to say one of those phrases. For example, create a new task called and then something. So let me try and do that. Create a new task called walk the dog tonight.
Ready to create a new task. Walk the dog tonight.
Perfect. So what we wanted to debug is that actually Alexa understood what I said. And as you can say, in your JSON input, you can say, okay, what request, what intended was, create new task, perfect. And then the value of the new task name slot that we created was identified correctly, walk the dog tonight. The slot was here, right? Perfect. So this works. Alexa understands what I'm saying, and everything we need to do now is just send this variable new task name that Alexa understood to Trello and save this as the new card on the to-do list. Perfect. And in order to do that, we're going to use the HTTP post action, and we're going to send that to the API Trello cards post. If you go here and say okay, cards, to create a card you actually need the post to card. So this is creating a new card, and this is the API that we're going to use. So we're going to copy that, going to go to our BotTalk tutorial and just going to say okay, HTTP post, the first parameter is as well URL, and this is the parameter, and the second parameter is much more interesting, and it's called a payload. And payload is something that we are sending to that in the payload it's going to be a JSON string, and it's going to have a couple of parameters. So as you can see, the ID list is needed. So we need to, the Trello needs for us to know in which list we are going to create this new card. And we know that because we already looked it up. The to-do list has this ID. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna say okay. In our payload that we are sending here, the ID list is going to be that one. Perfect. What else we need? Okay, we need the name of the new card. Perfect. We copy that. So the name is going to be, and it's very interesting because we're going to use the variable that is coming from the user. Okay, this is the new task name, the one that we use here. This is going to be a name. Let's go back to the documentation once again. So what else does it need? Oh yeah, and of course it needs the key and the token as well for us to authorize this request. So we're gonna have to say, okay, the key is going to be, and once again, this is very handy that we have it open. This is going to be a key, and the token is going to be that one. No, right here. This is going to be a token, perfect, and we're just going to put it right here. Perfect. So we done it. It works very well, and in order to kind of test it once again, well, everything you need to do is what we actually expect to do. That we forgot one thing: the headers. You could say that okay, the headers that we're going to send is going to be an application JSON. So okay, ready to create a new task, and then we're creating this task with a HTTP post, and just to kind of know that the task was created, let's go and jump straight away to the initial step where the task, everything in the to-do list is just read out loud. So when that works, the new text that we just created is going to be added here and is going to be read out loud by Alexa. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, we saved everything. We didn't change anything in intents and slots, so we don't have to redeploy. We just go ahead and reload that page in the Alexa Developer Console, and we just say Open Task Manager.
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube.
Perfect. And create a new task called Walk the Dog Tonight. Okay, we don't have this task in our Trello yet, so let us see what happens. Okay, boom. How cool is that?
Ready to create a new task. Walk the dog tonight. Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube. Walk the dog tonight.
Perfect. So it made the API request. We've seen it live here, and yeah, and then Alexa just read every single card on the to-do list for us. Perfect. So we're moving quite well, and yeah. So basically, what we need to do now is we need to move the we need to move one card to another. And in our tutorial, we play a bit with the Trello documentation, but for now we're just going to skip it, and we're going to go straight away to BotTalk code. So for that to work, of course, you need to also have some kind of wording, something that Alexa is expecting you to do. So we need to create the expectation, right? And it's called an intent. So let's call it move card intent, and then create a new step that is called move card. Name move card, and then with the actions, send card, send text. Sorry, text. So moving the card, right? And then we have to create the intent called move card. We go to intent section, say okay, perfect, in move card. And the way we call it in our tutorial was something like that. Move the, and then the task order, task from source list name to destination list name. So move the last task, right, from source list name, so from one list to another list. And as you can see, we have like three slots here we have to define. We have to define task order, we have to define source list name, and we have to define the destination list name. Let's go ahead and define the task order first. So it is going to be, for example, first, or it's going to be last, second, whatever. So this is all the opportunities. In this tutorial, we're gonna go with the last one, but as an exercise, you can figure out how to actually move the first, the second, the third, whatever card. I'll leave it as an exercise for you guys. And this is the task order slots, and we need to source list name as well. So the source list name, and this one's is a bit tricky. So as you can see, we need to list to do, doing, and done as the columns from which you can move. So the source. So it's going to be called to do. Let me just do it like that because it looks much natural. So to do, doing, and done is going to be sources, but of course the destinations could be the same. So you can move from to do to doing, or you can move from doing to done, and all the way from, you can do from done to do, and whatever. So those variables are just the same. So the values are the same, different variables. Yeah. So the task order from to do to destination. Yeah, and to just kind of reiterate, we say to Alexa, move the last task from to do to doing, or from done to whatever, and it's just going to take last task and move that. Perfect. Yeah, we could debug it, but let's keep it for now. You can debug it for yourself. The only thing that is left, as you can imagine, moving these cards is going to be done using put. And the way the moving works is actually we take a card and we say, okay, we're going to change something in this card. And this something is going to be one parameter. It's going to be the ID of the list. So before that, the ID, the task had walk the dog was on this list, and then we're going to change that, and the ID, we're going to change the ID of the list this task is on, and this is what moves the task, right? So you change the ID of the list that the task is on, and the card is moving. So to do that, we of course need the list of IDs. We need to somehow know when the person said something like where it is. When a person said something like move from to do to doing, we need to know, okay, what is the ID of the doing card of the doing list is. And we can find it out right here. So we already know the ID of the to do, but the same way we can go ahead and say, okay, what is the ID of doing? And what is the ID of done? And yeah, and for BotTalk to know it, we're going to create a new step called set variables, and just going to put it in the beginning of everything. So the first step here is going to be executed by BotTalk as the first one, and we just going to say, okay, we need the list of IDs here, and the to do is going to have the to do is going to have this ID. So ID of to do is going to be that. Perfect. The ID of doing is going to be that, and the ID of done list, so this is a list ID, is going to be that. Perfect. Perfect. So after you set the variables, we need to straight away go to our initial step. Then of course we need to create a move card as well. So let me just go ahead and boom, create it right here. I already created beforehand, and let me go through this whole action section. So we are setting the last card to take the last card, and we've taken the last from the cards in list, but we haven't created this variable as well. Where we're going to create it in our initial step, we're going to set a new variable, cards in list, to the variables that came actually from HTTP response. So from our API response request to, okay, let me get all the cards. We save all those cards in the variable called cards in list, and then in the move card we take the last of this card from here, and we save it in the last card variable. So we can, for example, read the name of that, but more importantly, so we can take and make this put request and use the last card ID in this put request. And of course, we have, through our intents and slots, we now have the destination list name as well. And because we created this additional set variable vars step, we can take this list ID and then the destination list name from the user, and so we get the ID of the list straight away. Because moving this card is basically in the Trello documentation is just changing one parameter, the ID of the list in this card. So yeah, so basically this is the move card using the HTTP put, and we save it, and we need to redeploy it because we changed the intents and slots in this step. And after we redeploy it, we can go ahead and test it in our Alexa development console. Great, it is successfully deployed. We can go to the console and say Open Task Manager and just check it. Okay.
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube. Walk the dog tonight.
Perfect, and let's move. Move the last task from to do into doing. Just boom.
Moving the card Walk the dog tonight to doing list.
Perfect, it moved the card as we expected, and it all works well. So everything that that is left to do is actually to delete a card, right? So we want to, last step, we want to delete any card from any list, and let's go ahead and create the delete card intent. For example, here, delete card. Delete card intent is going to be very similar. So delete the task order task from, and then source list name from some list, right? Yeah, we haven't created delete card step yet, but we're going to do that. And this is the step that I already created, and let me go through that really quick. So first of all, to delete a card from the list that the user just said, we need to actually know which cards are on the list and take the last one. So first of all, we actually make a get request with this list ID that we get from our mapping variable list ID. Okay, we say the user said delete something from source list name, from doing, for example. We take that and we make a get request to that, and then we save the last card from the response, HTTP response. The last card we are saving in the card to delete, and then saying to Alexa, deleting the card to delete name, and then using this card to delete to get the ID of the card we want to delete, using the HTTP delete request to the delete endpoint of Trello, and yeah, and then using actually the same headers and the payload. So after you save it and you redeploy it, because you need to redeploy it because you changed the intents, we're gonna go ahead and test it in our Alexa developer console. So we deployed it, and we can go ahead and open Task Manager once again.
Here is what you need to do today. Record a video tutorial. Publish a link on social media. Upload to YouTube.
Delete the last task from done.
Deleting the card get users Amazon email tutorial.
That's it. We just deleted the card. And that actually concludes our tutorial. So we've been able to create a great Alexa skill that can read from your Trello board, that can move cards from one list to another, that can delete cards, and all of it done in BotTalk. We are very excited if you build something like that and publish it also and use it for your purposes. And just when you need to kind of refresher or something to kind of look at, you can go to the source code. We have a GitHub repository, and this is the repository where you can look at the scenario and copy and paste it, look at the slots and intents and stuff like that. And we hope you liked it, and we really appreciate your feedback, and see you next time. Keep building.